Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm the Blundering Bishop, and welcome to another 5-minute theory video. We're joined by a special guest for this 5-minute theory video, and that's Gus. Say hello, Gus.
Hello.
Yeah, Gus is joining us for this one. He was very excited to learn about the Evans Gambit. For those of you who've not seen a 5-minute theory video, what we do here is we try to take key concepts in chess and we boil them down into 5-minute bite-sized chunks. For those of you who, like me, have a busy life, a job, a car, and probably some kids, some of whom might be recording YouTube videos with you right now. Topic for today's 5-minute theory is the Evans Gambit. Before we start, as ever, if you're enjoying content here by the Blundering Bishop, please do feel free to leave a like, maybe hit that subscribe button. If you think there's things we can improve, please do feel free to leave a helpful comment. So we're going to be talking about the Evans Gambit. This is a pawn gambit by white, a variation of the Giocopiano opening. First played by Welsh sea captain W.D. Evans in the 19th century, and famously used by Garry Kasparov versus Vishy Anand in the 1995 Town Memorial. To great effect, Kasparov won that game, so that's a game I'd certainly recommend you go and have a look at. So what is the Evans Gambit? Well, let's have a look. Evans Gambit comes from the king pawn opening into bishop c4 for white, which is the Italian game. And then instead of the two knights defence with knight f6, black instead plays bishop c5. This is the Giocopiano, the quiet game. And then for white, b4. b4 is the Evans Gambit. I don't know if any of you remember, who are followers of British politics, might remember the gut-wrenchingly awful Ian Duncan Smith conference speech about the quiet man turning up the volume. Well, the point of the Evans Gambit is to take the quiet game and turn up the volume for white. So what's the point? What is white trying to do here? Well, if you look at the position prior to b4, you'll clearly see that black's best piece is its bishop on c5. This is the most active diagonal for that bishop. It's controlling the centre and it's very well placed. In playing b4, white is looking to disrupt that bishop, move it away eventually, and I'll show you some of the squares it might retreat to over the course of the gambit, with a view to eventually playing d4 and really taking control of the centre there. So what are black's choices after b4? Well, they've got two broad choices. The first, of course, is to decline the gambit. So rather than taking the pawn, black will play something like bishop b6. There are a couple of other options, but I think bishop b6 is the best because it keeps the bishop on that good diagonal. That comes with a loss of tempo. As you can see, black's had to move that bishop twice now in the opening, and it doesn't prevent white's continuation eventually into the centre by adding some support to that square. So very much modern theory would suggest that black shouldn't decline the gambit. Black should accept the gambit, and frankly, I have to agree with that. If you're ever offered a gambit in a game of chess, just be a legend, take the gambit. So let's see how that goes. So after b4, instead of declining the gambit, black can take the gambit. And this is now the Evans Gambit accepted, the main line. Only one move for white here, and it should be obvious. It's the same move that would have come up in the Giocopiano opening had white decided not to gambit. White has to play c3. No other choice at all. Now, where black retreats the bishop to afterwards is really sort of how you branch out into some of the variations. I won't cover them in detail. That's for videos that are longer and produced by people with significantly more knowledge than me. But you can immediately see what white's going to do. He's going to force that bishop away somewhere with a view to taking the centre, and after white plays d4, he's going to be in very, very good shape here. Most engines will give this position as even, despite the fact that white is down a pawn. So you'll see that the Evans Gambit really is a good try for white, even if the modern theory has said that black is actually okay here as well. So black's got a few defences. Bishop a5 is certainly the most common. Keeps the pressure on... Whoops, excuse me, that is completely the wrong arrow. Keeps the pressure on c3 in the event that white does go d4, that pawn is pinned. So that is a good try for black, and probably one of the most sensible places. Instead of that, black could look at something like bishop d6. This is the stoneware defence. Whoops. So, sorry, the stoneware defence after taking c3 and then bishop d6 is the stoneware defence. It's not brilliant. I mean, it does back up the e5 pawn, but you've always got the possibility of whites continuing to take the centre. So I'm not, it doesn't feel like a great move to me, but it's definitely one you should research if you want to play it that way. I think the most solid response for black here, in my opinion, is bishop e7. This is the Lasker defence. Now, you'll see there's some issues here because it's very possible that after d4, white just wins back the pawn, but it does leave black in a reasonable position. So certainly as responses to the Evans Gambit accepted go after c3, I like bishop e7 for black. There are some counter gambits for black that you might want to have a look at that can be particularly dangerous for the black player rather than the white, so you may want to avoid those, but the romantic in me always tries to have a look for a counter gambit if there is one. So there you go, that's our potted history of the Evans Gambit. After b4, always accept if you're black, because it's just what a good romantic would do. And then after c3, think about where you're going to put your bishop. And if you're white and you ever find yourself in the Giocopiano, give some thought to an Evans Gambit. Why not? Make the quiet game loud again. So, there we have it. As ever, I'm the Blundering Bishop. I hope you've enjoyed the content here. If you have enjoyed the content, please feel free to leave a like, maybe hit that subscribe button. If you're not enjoying the content, if you think there's something we can improve, do feel free to leave us a helpful comment at the end. So, good night from the Blundering Bishop. Good night from Gus.
Good night, Blundering Bishop, and don't forget to subscribe because we want 1 million subscribers.
We want 1 million subscribers. Thank you, Gus. We do want 1 million subscribers. And that's it from us today. No dad jokes, I'm afraid, in this one. I thought it was a bit too painful to have a dad joke whilst my son was present, but I'll give you double dad jokes in the next 5-minute theory. Thank you very much, and good night.